and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined as always by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
I've got whiplash in my neck from the wildly alternating
I
temperatures.
know.
You know, 2 days ago it's like 70. Today it was like 50. That's the high. It felt like 40 most of the day.
Guys,
Tomorrow,
it's been
I think 2 days from now, I think it's supposed to be in the 70s
it's,
again. It's like I'm really over that. I'm over it.
it's been a long week
Didn't you say, Shad, it snowed in your area like
last week.
Yeah, it did here too.
Yeah, it's been a long week,
All the ice
Yeah.
in my drink
and it's
melted
Tuesday.
already.
It's Tuesday. Well, at least tomorrow's Friday, right, guys? Like,
Yeah.
Actually, the hell of it is that my week is just going to get longer because as I work my way towards the weekend, I have more and more and more on my plate coming. So,
my the family we're all going to San Antonio next week because it's spring break and my daughters don't have spring breaks that line up, so it's like I got to take like a week and a half off of work. But we're gonna go to San Antonio where grandma and grandpa live, so they can help out. My wife has a friend who's like, "Oh, like, so glad you're coming in town. Like, well, like, let us know what your itinerary is." And I'm gonna have to tell her it's like I don't have one. I'm gonna go and not do as much as I possibly can. I can just not. I have like grandma and grandpa to help out. I'm gonna sit on my ass and do nothing while the kids just run feral in someone else's house, not mine.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
but now it's like now we're at that point where it's like it's like a week before the trip. So it's a combination. It's like my mentally starting to get check out of work, but I also have like 10,000 things I have to do at the house before the trip, including pack. And you should know, Shad, if you ever go on a trip, packing, even a short trip, small trip, packing for two small kids is very difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah.
We have to start doing it days ahead. Days ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you.
Oh,
I know.
Your kids are a little bit older, so they're probably at the stage like my oldest one is, where they get very opinionated about what they want to wear. Oh, I want this. I want this. Make sure this outfit comes. It's like, you're 6. Like, you should wear whatever I pick for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, my boys don't get that picky about clothes and stuff, but there's still things we have to bring.
I think boys take till they're a teenager before they start. When boys discover girls is when they start developing, I think, opinions on what they're gonna wear. But
Yeah. Well,
so
yeah.
we have a big show for you tonight, so we're doing 2 matches. This week is Bryan Danielson month continues. We have his match with Jushin Thunder Liger and his match with Roderick Strong, which we will be getting to. We had a couple of side topics here. I guess we can start with the Tony Storm being out for a while. It's not confirmed what it is. People have been saying that it's a pregnancy, which is not confirmed.
There's nothing about that that's confirmed. It's all speculation.
And I would not be shocked if she just didn't want like 6 months off because she's been going pretty much nonstop for 5 years.
Yeah. She's been going full tilt for a while. And in the same vein that Hangman's taking some time off, like her taking some time off is fine. The only
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
You weren't done. You were done. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is the only thing that's confirmed about her taking time off was that it was very abrupt. And this came through the Observer, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I heard
it was
Dave
very
talking
abrupt
about it.
because she was going to have a match on Wednesday, and that day is when they changed things up. Like apparently RJ City called an audible and figured all that stuff out in a record time. And she's not injured. That's all we got.
Yeah, and it could be any number of things. I don't want to jump to the pregnancy thing because she could have a parent that's getting ill or needs care. Like there could be all sorts of things. So I'm not like
they're just there obviously speculation because she's actually, which is a little bit crazy because she's been around a long time, including if you count like her WWE. Because I remember she was in the Mae Young Classic and we
Yeah, and she'd
reviewed
been
that.
around
That
and
was like
she'd already
20.
been the Stardom champion for like a year plus at that point, I
Yeah,
think.
but when we reviewed that, that was like 2018,
Hmm.
2019. So you're talking about like 7, 8 years at this point. She's been around a long time, and she's like 29 or 30.
Yeah, she was
Like she's
only
no
like
older than 30.
she was only like
She's
21
young.
in the classic.
Yeah, she's still young, so she's of the age where if she does want to have kids, like this could be it. There's a lot, and that's the speculation. I mean, you mentioned Hangman. It's like Hangman has had time off in the past, but
Yeah.
one of the times he had time off was because one, I think it was maybe his second child was born, so he basically got I think he actually like got time off for both, but
He did.
he's basically
Yeah.
doing paternity leave.
Mhm.
And Tony Khan is actually really good based upon like his history of AEW with giving time off for maternity or paternity. Like just thinking about the women, like Mello got time off. Ruby Riot, uh, she's still off right now, and I don't know if she's gonna come back. Like she may, but it's been over. I think it's been over a year.
It has been,
But
but we don't know the why. We know
Yeah.
that she and Angelo have like a side gig going, but we
yeah, they
don't
started like
know.
a restaurant. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
but
a
we
restaurant.
don't know if it's just we don't know the circumstances around it. We don't know if
Mm.
it's hey, I had some stuff happen and I can't be physical again for a while until I heal up from it, and so we started this as a side venture, or hey, I'm
It,
really digging the way things are right now and I'd like to not be back on the road. We don't know what the circumstances are.
she could. I mean, it could literally be like something as simple as like she gives birth, and it's like I like being a mom. Like I want to be around for the first like year, 6 months
Hmm.
to a year of my
That's kind of
kid
what Becky did, wasn't
being
it?
born. She took a lot of time off, yeah. And
Hmm.
that being like a parent, it's like I get that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that like there's actually really good benefits to being off with like your newborn. So
Yeah.
maybe something as simple as that. But all we know is like Tony Storm, like it's not an injury. And I don't know, it could be something like a sick relative, could that. But I think part of like the speculation is like she did have that match, and then abruptly she was out of it.
Yeah, but there's things that are
So
non-pregnancy related
I
that
don't
could.
think it's a situation where she's just like, I want time off. Yeah.
There's plenty of
I
things
thought
that could be non-pregnancy related, though. I think people are kind of. I mean, I think that's a viable alternative, but I don't think it. Like people are really jumping to that, and it's just like, why do you guys got it? Like it's my problem with a lot of stuff
Think that
online now. It's just like why does it matter?
I think people are jumping to it because honestly, it's fun to make memes about the juice getting loose and that sort of
Yeah, it
stuff.
is.
I mean, really, that's what it boils down
I'm
to is
I mean,
is uh, is Juice Robinson. He's not going to be cut if if that's all the case. He's not going to be cutting a promo about I'm well rested. I got my 8 hours. It's like you can say goodbye to that dude, but
oh yeah, someone said that that's cool. Come back to haunt him. This promo. Like that's not gonna happen anymore. Um,
It's been kind of.
Ivy.
It's been
Oh,
kind
go
of.
ahead.
I was gonna say it's been kind of slow on the news cycle because like very little actually happened with our week off. I was kind of like, oh, nothing happened.
Nothing big.
there's not anything bad about that. Nothing big happening for a while doesn't isn't a bad thing.
No, but
It's actually
people.
kind of nice because people don't get hurt. You don't have these huge upheavals that cause problems, at least in wrestling.
I think people get extra stupid though when it gets slow though. Like
Oh yeah.
Oh, they want to start
a certain
discourses about
a certain fightful owner that is
mm,
quickly becoming a lolcow, insisting
total locale.
WWE didn't get canceled from
I
Fox when,
yeah
and to the point where Meltzer stepped in was like, no, that they got canceled.
yeah, and he's trying to. Sean was trying to play the technically correct, which is the best kind of correct. But he was trying to be like, well, they didn't get canceled. They just, the contract ran out. And it's like, and Meltzer had to step in and be like,
Right.
if they would have taken even a not as financially advantageous contract if they could remain on Fox, because the visibility
Yep. And the
would have been way
prestige.
better. Yes, and the prestige, and it was Fox who was like and Fox. You can't say that Fox didn't they didn't telegraph that move, because
They were complaining almost instantly about
they were
the finance.
complaining and that was not like a contract that was like for 6 months. It was like 3 years, something like that. They were complaining.
Yeah, I think so.
They were
Maybe 4
complaining
years.
regularly. I feel like every quarter they were basically saying like they aren't performing like they said they were going to, and that happened like within like the
Well, yeah,
first 6 months.
because they said they could get to. They said they could main. I'm. This is all through memory, so if I get some details wrong, just forgive me. I think the idea was they said they could maintain like 3 million plus viewers, and that's where they started, and only like went down from there, and I
Yeah.
think never got there again after like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I know that I don't remember the numbers, but they overpromised and underdelivered
Yeah.
for the entire run. And the hell of it is that Fox being snippy with them is notable, because you don't hardly ever have like a partner doing that sort of stuff.
No, like when Warner Brothers. This is why the thing when everyone was saying AEW was gonna get canceled. When Warner Brothers Discovery was axing everything, trying to save money, the only thing they would speak well of is AEW programming. It's like, no, they have like 4 million people coming through. Like, we're totally happy with them as a
Yeah.
partner. But you know how I also think you can tell WWE got canceled is the way their TV deals worked out and how they were scrambling to get Raw on something. Because I
Yeah.
kind of wonder deep down if they really wanted Raw to be on Netflix.
Probably not. But they got a lot of money for it, so I'm sure they were ultimately happy.
But I think But because I think the problem with Netflix, because they've been on Netflix for what, like a year and 4 months now.
Yeah.
They lost so much visibility. Like, I think after week one, like just the people talking about them online, like diminished terribly, because I know people say, well, it's not that much work to get to it on Netflix. And it's like, yes, but there's a paywall, and like there is a difference between turning your TV on and turning on channel 12 for USA versus okay, well, I have to turn my Roku on. I have to go to the Netflix app. I have to hope it's on the front page, which it isn't usually, and then I have to go either type it in or go to my favorites list. And honestly, like they kind of got screwed. I'm going to defend them on one count. Is Netflix screwed their UI up like 6 months after they joined too?
Every streaming platform, it seems like every streaming platform and every every program that exists, they go through a big update and just actively make everything worse. And I can't figure out why. Who told you this was a good idea?
I have to assume it's like a cost-cutting thing, because most of these streaming platforms they're in the red. They're not making money.
But
I would think most are.
But most of them have gone from like a very simplistic user interface to overly convoluted. I think part of the problem is it's someone trying to justify their existence and putting something on their resume like and now when you talk about websites, like how a lot of websites have gotten worse, the reason a lot of them have gotten worse, like BuzzFeed and stuff, is because they're trying to force you to click more.
Yeah, more impressions.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying with Netflix, and you're right. Like the user interface is actually very bad. But I do think the Switch has ultimately really negatively hurt them, and no one is really talking about this except recently Dave Meltzer, because Meltzer now has started talking about numbers and what is being said, what isn't being said. And because Meltzer, again, I don't know if Meltzer is on the spectrum, but he's a guy who might be on the spectrum. I'm not saying that disparagingly. I'm not trying to cast anything on anyone. I'm just saying, like, he has a very specific focus on numbers both financial and ratings numbers, and he's been that way for like 30 plus years. Like go back and pick up an Observer from like the 90s and just see him pour over ratings and numbers and financial details and all those sort of things. The joke about like Meltzer talking and going on about like the attendance for Mania 3 and things like that. It's like,
Yeah.
look, he has studied this decades. Ratings, attendance, financials, all this. But now he's taking like a notice to like some of the Netflix stuff, and he's broken down the math for people and even getting into arguments with people. And I've been feeling very vindicated because like I've been beating the drum where I felt like the numbers don't make sense. Like Netflix started out strong and then it's been dropping, and they still kind of try to claim it's this.
Mm-hmm.
And Meltzer recently started talking about how like, no, it doesn't make sense because they're saying this, but Netflix's numbers showed this. And you have to like, for them to believe certain things that are being said, you have to assume this, and it's almost certainly not happening. Make it long story short, based upon the like the math he's done and everything, it's very likely that Raw live plus same day, not like, views from the following week or whatever, but live and same day, you can make the argument it's probably doing less than 1 million live and same day. When they were back on USA, they were started dropping, but they were easily doing 1.5 million to, depending upon like how important the episode was or when it was, like after Mania, whatever, maybe even creep up to like close to 2 million. But it was doing well over what it is now. Like
he said based on his numbers that Dynamite is probably doing better than Raw most weeks.
Yeah, and people like that's still like people are arguing with them, but it still hasn't broke like the wrestling media or the online wrestling.
They won't
Twitter,
talk about it,
or they don't want to. But it's like I've been talking about this because I've noticed it for like months ago. But it's very realistic, and probably true that between cable and Max, between the two of them, that Dynamite is probably doing as well as Raw, maybe even beating it depending upon the week. Dynamite just had like a number over 700,000.
753, I believe.
Yeah, and you'd have to believe, which people who are WWE fans basically be like, no one watches on Max. It's like there's actually a lot of people.
No,
a lot of people watch on Max.
I had to eat crow on that one. I had to eat crow. I was dead wrong on this program because we talked about that at one point early, and I said, well, I bet they have less than 100,000. And I wouldn't be shocked if it was somewhere between like 20 and 70,000 a week. And then someone from HBO was like, oh yeah, we get about like 400 to 500,000. I'm like, well, I was way off on my prediction on that one.
Yeah, people said long time back, that there was like a percentage in that they capture like, I think maybe half of the audience that they get, or maybe it's gone up, but at least I think it was at least half of what they would get on cable. So if they're pulling like 600, 700 on cable, and it has been lower, but now it's like AEW is like getting hot, as Meltzer like to say. So they've been pulling like 600, 700 recently. So let's say like they're getting like they're at 600, 700. They're getting another like 300, 350, 400, like on Max. Then put the numbers together, then you're getting like 1 million people watching. And if WWE is getting 1 million or less live in same day, then you have a show that's, the biggest wrestling company in the world, specifically a show Raw that's been around for 30 plus years.
That they put all their effort into. Like they shit on SmackDown every week. Like Triple H hasn't even booked it since they went off Fox. Like the second it wasn't the prestigious thing, he like dumped it on Road Dogg, and then they fired him to like, save Triple H's ass. But the thing is, so they put all their effort into that. But I would argue they're probably kicking themselves now after they saw what happened with AEW, as much as they wouldn't admit it, because what we saw from AEW in simulcasting, they didn't lose any ratings. Like they could have left Raw on USA and added it to Netflix, and they probably would have but see, I knew it was going to fail for them because all of the sports leagues that have switched to more streaming have lost momentum, except for the NFL, because the NFL is invincible.
Well, MLB shifted off of being on ESPN because it was a crap partnership.
But
But I
MLB's
think
different.
they're coming back now.
Yeah, but
Like they're rebounding well.
MLB's different though because the way they're having some issues because of the Bally Sport thing, but like MLB for a long time like doesn't do well nationally, but in their markets they get really strong ratings. So like the
Mm-hmm.
teams locally do really strong. But I mean MLB's
Mm-hmm.
having a big resurgence in popularity
Yeah,
too. But I think that's because of some of the rule changes that sped the game up. But
it's 100% some of the rule changes, and
because you can watch a
the
game in like 2.5 hours now, it's insane.
you can watch it in a shorter amount of time. There are challenges that make sense. They've instituted the pitch review, because if you see a batter at the plate and he does this, he's like, review that pitch,
And
and you
it's
know what?
quick.
Turns out the batters are right in a lot of cases.
But it's quick too. Like it doesn't slow the
Yeah.
game down like an NFL review. I would say keeping batters in the batter's box, stuff
Hmm.
like that. You don't have to be like, oh god, this pitcher's coming in, and it's like it's and I think there's
Oh yeah, we're
something,
gonna be here forever and a
yeah,
day.
and there's something about baseball I think people are realizing is like kids love baseball. Like even kids now, like there's something about
Yeah.
baseball that like pulls them in. Um, but yeah, I think that was a big mistake for them. And I don't know what they can do to fix it. I think they have to put more effort into SmackDown, but I don't think it hasn't gone over very well. And I also think it's interesting the WWE keeps going down because even like TNA on AMC has seen their ratings kind of like tick up a little bit.
It it's been you know what? I have to give them credit. I'm surprised by it, but yes, they've been doing better. And
I don't know how that show looks
you
just
know
like
what?
absolute horseshit every week.
I don't pretend to know. I have no interest in watching their product, but you know what? Good for them.
No, it's good for
I'm happy for them.
it's good for wrestling to have.
Yes.
I don't think I think that TV deal isn't going to do them any favors, but like cuz I think they've been getting into like 250 some weeks.
Yeah.
They've been the thing that I have heard is that they have been beating what the normal viewership for that time slot for that network has been.
Oh, I would
And that's
easily. What do you
that's sounds like a low bar, but if you're regularly beating what they would be getting in that spot, then you're a net positive.
What
Yeah.
And
if you're bringing young men in too? Like
I
that's
mean, if you're a net positive, you're a net positive, and they're not going to want to lose someone who is a benefit to them.
well, and
So
they paid nothing. They paid like 10
Yeah.
million for a year. Like that's like a TV
yeah,
episode now.
Yeah.
I can't
That-
help but wonder if that's like just the first year deal. I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
I guess I just don't. They are doing it, and I guess I just don't understand it because it's like I've like I remember when TNA started in like 2002,
Mhm.
and I've watched it, at periods, and I can't think of a time, even during like the Vince Russo era, like where I have had less interest. And then like you're like really over the Vince Russo era. It's like, yeah, because at least the Vince Russo era had
AJ Styles,
stars.
yeah.
Yeah, they had.
I think the Bischoff era was worse personally. The Bischoff era, I think I had less interest in
Well,
than now.
in fairness, I stopped watching during that, so it's like I guess I can't say like that was better.
No,
But
it was pretty terrible. Like
uh,
I would say this
I
isn't good, but like this is mediocre from what I've
I
seen
just
in the
have no
Bischoff era. I don't either.
I have I have no interest in this, and I don't know who they even have on their roster. Like, there's no stars. I mean, they're guys that there's a couple guys that I like, and I hope they do well, like Macklin and Santana. Like, but I don't know who else they really have,
I
and
just
I
I
don't
think
really have much of an
I think
interest. And
Nick.
that's different because we talked about the show. Like Brad and I talked about like 3, 4 years ago. They didn't have like a great roster, but they had enough. They had guys, and they used them pretty well. And to the point where I'm like, you know what? It's not a great roster, but they do
well,
the
they would
most with
get
what they
people though
have.
because like when it was Impact, it was, oh, I had this really stinky WWE run, and I don't want to go over to AEW with that stink on me, so I'm going to go to TNA for 6 months, and have a good run there and like work with their creative and get that smell off of me. And then,
Yeah. I'm going to prove I've still got it.
yeah. So, and they were really good in that role. And I even like the other way is like, well, I'm done with AEW, but WWE is not ready for me. So I'm just going to do some dates with with Impact, and then they'll notice
So
me.
people that this is strictly off of memory, so I could be way wrong. But people that TNA has right now, I think Nemeth did sign a year contract
He
with
did.
them.
He's like their only like signed guy, I
Yeah.
think. Moose, Cedric
And
Alexander.
yes. And like you said, Santana, who I swear it's like they are just determined to not get behind him, and it kills me. Like I said, I'm not watching it, but to have this guy who had this big groundswell of support and you keep clipping him at the knees kills me.
He lost the world
Um,
title already, didn't he?
yeah,
He
I
lost it to
think
like
so.
an NXT jabron,
I'm
didn't he?
okay. I don't. I full disclosure. I don't know what happened after the first episode thing. I think he won it back on that show,
Yeah, he did.
but they timed everything so poorly that they had to cut off Nemeth's like
Well, then
and
they
hitting the
did.
ring then or something.
Well, they did, and then they did a rematch at the pay per view, which was like the next Saturday of Kazarian and Santana again.
Okay.
But I don't know. They have their fan base, so I mean, good on them. Like I think it's good for wrestling. I really wish the NWA wasn't such like a chronic piece of crap,
Mm.
because I really did enjoy them at first until they like fell off a cliff, and Billy Pumpkins is unserious about.
Hmm.
After what was it? What was it? Was
The
it
Sam
Lantha
Hain.
was the guy that was the guy that had been running Power initially and then was outed as
Oh,
being a
Dave
sex pest?
Lagana.
Lagana, that's right. I knew it was an LA name, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was.
I
I
don't
just
know.
grabbed for the
I
first
I
one that
might
came
have
to
to
mind.
revisit that, because considering how a lot of those speaking out things have turned out to be bullshit. Because who
Well, some have and some haven't.
yeah,
Um, the oh
who was it?
shit.
God damn it!
Uh, I can't remember the names, but there was one of them that admitted that she made it up and stuff like that, and it's like,
It wasn't one of the
I don't know.
more like headline ones, but
Yeah, but in any event, I do wish that NWA was doing better because I believe that it made a really good stepping stone for up and coming people.
yeah.
Like you get noticed, you get on NWA, you do well there, you get some Impact dates. I hate calling it TNA. I like the name Impact so much more. Um,
I like the blue
and
with the impact better too. It was more
but
aesthetically
then
pleasing,
yeah,
unlike the
you get
Briscoes.
you had a way of like working your way up and having a pathway of like, let me get noticed here. Okay, I'm noticed here. Now I can do something here and that sort of stuff. But
Or even like if you're a guy like I don't know, I can't remember their names, but if you're like a guy that can't even like make TNA, like you're not that good, but you can get on NWA, that's something to be like, hey, I've been on TV, people see me,
mhm,
like indies, like I want an extra 20 or $30. Like it's a way
yeah,
to, it's a
you
way
can
to,
get a little bit extra out of it.
yeah.
I think Larry D's been doing TNA dates. He had a part time Impact
I
contract
don't
when
think
it was
he's been there
Impact,
for a
but he hasn't been
while.
there for a while,
He
Yeah.
hasn't been there. Yeah.
which kills me because it's like, you know, of all the people that you could have, really.
Because I think he was the shooter for whoever got shot back in the
Hmm.
Halloween party.
Okay.
Who was it?
Well, in any event, I do wish they were doing better so that there could be a kind of a reliable progression. And then nobody wants to be the feeder to the minor leagues, but no, like no one would. If you ask somebody, they would not want to say, "Well, I'm the place where people who want to, get noticed and get signed to TNA go." But on the other hand, there's a place for that, and there needs to be a place for it.
I feel like though, I feel like the people that don't want to do that are like constraining themselves. Because I feel like if I was a promotion, I was like, okay, This is what we're doing, people. We're going to get like a TV deal locally. We're going to get like an internet presence. And my goal is to get you in here and we're going to get you to a bigger company. And I feel like you would have a lot of success if you embraced that.
Oh, it'd be a great recruiting tool. If it, well, it doesn't work now, but for a while, a lot of college basketball teams were one and done farms because they were like, no, if you come and play with us, you'll get noticed and you'll get higher draft picks and that sort of thing.
And now they're like, hey, we suck this year. Let's get a washed out NBA player to come play for us. Was that Alabama that did that?
Yes, it was. And that shit kills me because it's like, oh my God, serious? Like, how did this get by? And then as it turns out, the judge that had initially ruled on it was a booster for the Alabama basketball. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, that got
blow
shut down
all of that up.
That got shut down real quick.
Good. I kind of, after a point, I was so frustrated, I just quit paying attention to it.
Well, they're like allowed to legally gamble now, so.
Yeah.
You know what? You know the other one that we're just doomed as a society. We've talked before on the show about gambling, but futures markets are getting into like politics now. Like you can start gambling on like, and now I was like, so, and then my first reaction was like, so you're financially incentivizing reporters to manufacture news now.
Yeah, I've talked to you guys before offline about like I'm not even someone who in his life, like people I know have been destroyed by like gambling, but I have just taken the attitude like it is just a profoundly evil thing that is affecting our society.
But there's a reason. There's a reason society shunned it, like thousands upon thousands of years ago.
Because it's soul rotting. Like it is literally, it will hollow out huge swaths of your society. So it's one of those evils that it's like, no, you don't let this gain a significant hold, or if you're going to have it be like, okay, there's this evil city out in the desert called Las Vegas, that's where all the degenerate gamblers can go, and they can lose their money if they want to, but that's not going to affect, society at large. But sometime in the very near past, a bunch of places, specifically even the institutions that are supposed to keep this out of their their little home, have decided, oh, I can make a lot of money like bilking these suckers out of their money. So let's partner with some gambling websites. And it's like, you're destroying,
and the government doesn't give a shit because they think they're going to cash in, which hilariously, if you live in a state with a casino and they've ever had to open the books on the casino, they got like a fraction of the tax revenue they said they would get out of it. Funnily enough.
But see, like a casino doesn't bother me as much. Like I live in Northern Virginia. I live in the DC metro area. There's casinos that are in Maryland. There's a casino in Southern Maryland that's probably like a 30-minute drive from where I live. It's been there like a decade. I've actually never been there.
I haven't been to
It's been there a decade. I could have
Columbus.
driven into it. It's an MGM casino. It's not even like just podunk. It's like MGM. I've never been there. Never once in 10 years. Had no interest in going there. I could have, but that's a casino. It's like, okay, I'm fine going to a place and then gambling.
I have a problem with them because I hate going somewhere that's very scenic and pretty, and then you have this fucking neon eyesore in the middle of everything because they legalize gambling.
Fair enough. But I think that it's like if I have to actually physically travel to some place and then, piss away all my money there, that's one thing. That's different than being like, I can like pull up my phone and then literally waste my entire paycheck gambling like these people do. Like it's just terrible.
And then like you get on sports stuff and they talk about like you'll just like be watching like a football program and they're just talking about betting lines, and it's like, shut the fuck up, guys. Like I'm fine with it. I'm fine. The only time I'm fine with it, if like it's a boxing show or if it's like, if you're talking about MMA, I'm fine with it because when they say the betting lines, that gives you it's a good, like when they say like someone's a plus 350, you get like an idea. Like if you're just going to watch, like, okay, well he's a sizable underdog in this fight. Like I get it there, and UFC especially and MMA have had a higher tide at Vegas, so it's kind of part of the deal. But there, I hate it a little less in those sports because like it is a good like indicator of boxing, and they don't and like in combat sports, but like they don't dwell on it like they do in football. Because like in football, it's
Yeah.
like they're a 3.5 underdog on the road. It's like so it's a standard. We're not picking a favorite bullshit line.
Yeah.
Like so, can we stop talking about it?
Yeah.
And then they'll talk about like prop bets and stuff. It's like I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, and that's how they make their money is they put these prop bets out there, and everybody who doesn't hit just loses a bunch, and so they make money hand over fist off of all. They're not. It's not even like the betting on the games that's making most of their money. It's these stupid ass little prop bets that they throw out there.
Yeah.
So
And then so what was the IVP joke, Matt? Before we kind of.
Oh, it's that Tony Storm. It's like, oh, so she's gonna be gone for months, no injury. Looks like she's climbing Mount Everest.
That's funny.
A clear reference to Darby being gone.
Yeah. And then Matt wanted to talk about the Netflix MMA show, I believe.
I guess just quickly, I actually don't think it's bad. I'm kind of with Dave Meltzer, who is like, this Netflix card is actually a big deal because it has actually people who, at least in the general consciousness, maybe they're not like big MMA fans, that this is actually a star-studded card. If there were no other reason, like the Ronda Rousey Gina Carano fight, like that's going to be a big thing.
I think that's all it's got, honestly.
I guess Francis Ngannou.
He's not a draw. He's not a draw. He went to PFL and he only fought once because they put him on pay-per-view and it drew like 50,000 buys. He's not like that's kind of half the reason UFC got rid of him, because he wanted all this money, and when he was headlining pay-per-views, they were getting dick all for buy rates. Like I would say, being fair to the card, I would say Rousey and Carano and then Nate Diaz are probably like the biggest draws on there. You could make an argument for Junior Dos Santos, but like he's so far in the past, I don't even know. And he was kind of like such a flash in the pan. Like I don't know how it's going to go. And I think for entertainment value, I think the problem is like if they show the prelims, there's a couple of decent prelims on there. Like I'll watch it. I'm going to watch it. There's a couple decent prelims on there, but I think they're not going to show the prelims. They're going to do the main card, which is going to be the geriatric show. I think the best fight, like on the main card, is probably Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz. Like, because I've been trying to like decide if I think that there's any chance the Rousey Carano fight could be any good. I'm like, they're going to be fucking gassed if they get to the second, and it's just going to be two middle-aged women stumbling around trying to figure out what to do.
I'm curious because the card's happening like mid-May, I think.
May 18th. May 18th.
Okay. I'll probably try to watch it.
And I think the thing is people are really gassing that card up like they always do with like UFC counter programming. And I think like I said, I'll watch and it might be entertaining. Like I don't expect the fights to be good because like the Ngannou and JDS fights are pretty one-sided. Like they have Ngannou fighting a light heavyweight with a guy that's gotten folded repeatedly at heavyweight. And it's not like an exciting fight, and Ngannou has a problem with his knee. Like I don't know how that one's gonna go. But like the thing is, people are like, well, this like Netflix is gonna be competition for the UFC. It's like, no, they're not. Like they can't sustain this because like look at the boxing thing. Like that Tyson fight was really good. They haven't built any sustained success off of that card.
Well, and that Tyson fight also outstripped their hardware.
Yeah.
So what are we doing again?
Well, you would hope that they've learned from that, but I don't
This
I don't think they
want
to be competition for the UFC. I think that they want to do what they've been doing. It's like every so often they have like.
I'm talking about the chatter online that's really annoying because they're like, "Well, this is going to compete with the UFC." It's like, no, it's not. Like, it's just like to actually compete with the UFC, I think at this point is impossible.
Yes and no, though. I think that they actually just showed there was a UFC, like, was it I don't know if it's a pay-per-view or something, but it didn't have like the attendance that a lot of people did because they're TKO is basically started to ruin UFC like they've been
Yeah.
ruining WWE, where they're just overpricing everything and trying to gouge and bilk as much money out of their fans as possible. And I do think you get into the situation where it's like the WWE, UFC, it's like, well, they're too big to fail. It's like, no, they're not. They're really not too big to fail. In fact, if you keep pricing things the way you're doing, what you're going to see is like a huge, large amount of people are going to be like, I don't need you. You know,
The
I don't need you. And
the
we're
problem with
seeing that with
competing,
WrestleMania. They ran a thing to like a special today where it's like, oh, 25% off tickets. It's like they're freaking out.
yeah.
They're still freaking out because those tickets haven't been moving.
But
They're
the thing with
3
MMA
weeks,
though,
4 weeks from Mania, and shit isn't moving.
the thing with MMA though is no one's pulled it off. And like people are like, well, Netflix is like the first big money backer. It's like, well, Netflix is not going to have the commitment to a product that they're going to lose money on because if you look at ONE FC, that is in they were trying to be a pan-Asian UFC. They had a lot of money in it. They signed some big deals. They're pretty much just sitting in Singapore doing Muay Thai right now because they lost $500 million and ran out of money. Because that's the problem. So the problem is with competing with the UFC is no one's ever been good at like creating stars. Like even if you have like talent, like Ronda Rousey was in Strikeforce. No one knew who the fuck Ronda Rousey was until she got to the UFC. So what happens with a lot of these promotions is kind of like what this Netflix show is doing is you end up with UFC washouts. And this show has a lot of those because people are like because there was one I don't remember the guy, but they're like they signed this guy away from the UFC, and people are like, no, they released him because he wasn't marketable. So you end up with a lot of stuff like that, and then they don't really figure out how to build their own stars. Like if you look at Bellator really never built anyone. It was just like their success was having 50-year-old ex-UFC guys fight and getting their cast-offs to fill their cards. So that's
Yeah.
like the issue you have with competing with the UFC. Because the problem is like there isn't like a ton of money in MMA unless you do it right, and that's really hard to market and get off
And
the
didn't
ground.
they well, I mean, UFC's also tried to make it a point to buy up competition in the US too, haven't they?
No, you would be
Not
surprised.
really?
They bought WEC. Strikeforce they only bought because they were the only ones interested. They bought Pride. Like Bellator they had no interest in. That went to PFL, which has been a disaster. So like they're not as predatory as you would think they are. Because I think because when PFL bought Bellator, Dana White was like, "Why? Like they're poorly run. They're not like competition." So I think they don't care because they know
Okay.
those companies are just going to run themselves into the ground, and they can get any of the fighters they want once they want them anyway.
I ended up dropping out of watching MMA for a long time, or a long time ago, because I mean, I used to be really into it. I watched a whole bunch of those early ones back when it was fresher. I went through
Yeah,
all that. I trained it some, and then I just kind of fell out of it.
I've been
I
getting
fell out of it because it went from being a competition where you had different martial arts to it became its own sport with its own style and rules exploitation stuff that you put all of that together, and it just kind of took me out of it. And I was just like, this is not what I came here for. And let's be honest, at least in and this might not be fair because this might be closer to the time of higher uh, collective conscious of stuff, not the monoculture, but when more people knew about the same stuff, you had big names back then, Liddell and Couture and Arlovsky and George St. Pierre and blah 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 blah. Right? Except, I mean, who are the names now?
Um,
I
Pereira's probably their biggest star.
okay, I have no idea who that is.
He's the guy I sent you the
And
pictures of. He's like from a indigenous tribe in like Brazil, and he shows up to the weigh-ins with his like war paint on.
okay, so we got like one, and
Strickland.
then
Strickland has a following. Who
and then
else?
Conor McGregor. We had a whole big stretch of people wanting to be like Conor McGregor when that was not. I mean, honestly, being like Conor McGregor is probably not the best thing for Conor McGregor even.
They don't have like crossover stars. Like the divisions actually have like a lot of are a little deeper in like the top talent. Like the top guys are still good. They just don't have like you said, the collective consciousness going for them.
Right. So we are in this. They they have gone from being a big fish in the pond to now they're the big fish in a small pond
No,
because
they kind of just have their niche now.
that's what I mean. Is we don't have. It's not like I want to say this properly. I don't want to sound like I'm yelling at clouds. Before entertainment became more compartmentalized, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just how things are. Um, they had a presence that folks were more aware of, and now things are broken off into niches. There's not a lot of stuff that is broad appeal kind of things unless you're Disney and you're desperately trying to mass market to them. Um, so
They're a
you know,
very they're a very blue collar male targeted thing now. I mean, I think they always
right?
were, but like if you walked up to like some guy in like a warehouse, they probably know UFC. Like that's kind of their demo now. Like it's a very working class male audience
Well,
now.
and it used to be that you would have this mix of fans where you would have fans who would be watching it and appreciating all the intricacy that goes into the grappling or the back and forth. And then you would have fans who'd be standing there going, "Get up off the ground and hit him."
Oh, people online still bitch about that.
Yeah. And so it's like,
Which drives me nuts
you could,
cuz like their proposed like fans on like Reddit or Sherdog like, well they just were like grappling. Or the one I hate is like, well they gassed out. It's like, yeah, they were fighting over a takedown against the cage for 90 seconds. Do you know how
that's really
exhausting
hard.
Do you know how exhausting that is even if you have a good gas tank?
Yeah, that's really hard to do.
Like do
There's
you
nothing easy about that.
Yeah, like if you like go try to push another man that weighs the same as you against the wall and try to hold them there and see how long before you're like and have them struggling with you. It gets tiring real quick.
Yeah.
But no, I hate that. They're
So,
like, well, it's boring. They were grappling. It's like, well, no, they were doing stuff. They were fighting over submissions. They were fighting over positionings. It's not like when you get a wrestler that just gets a guy down and doesn't know what to do and he's just laying on him.
mhm. And I mean, sometimes just laying on them is a strategy to try and burn out some of their gas tank before you start working something else.
Yeah.
Okay, well then that's part, but that's just part of what that is, and it doesn't interest me anymore, and that's fine. It doesn't have to, but it doesn't seem to have the cultural penetration it used to. So
I think having more weight divisions hurt them too because it kind of like diluted the roster down a lot with a lot more like there's
mhm.
a lot more fighters now. Like back in the day when they ran like 6 times a year, you kind of knew everyone on the shows.
Mhm.
I'm with you, Chad. It doesn't, and I think part of that is, to me, they've moved into a model where it is like Brad said. It's like they have more fighters. Like, yeah, they're just trying to run like at least one monthly pay-per-view, so that
Yeah.
they can do at least 12 like pay-per-view fight cards, whatever, or
Yeah.
more. I mean, they also have the deal with ESPN to do content,
Well,
but
it's all on Paramount now, but they're running like a show a week
well,
right now.
Yeah, but so I feel like and I also feel like, again, I could be, maybe I'm being unfair. I don't care, but I think that they want to lowball people. They want to pay fighters peanuts, so
No, I
it's
think
better to
so.
have like they can have like 100 guys that they can put on a card, and maybe none of them are superstars that they got to pay like 10 million or more for a fight to get them to actually show up. They can pay them like 50,000, maybe a little more if you actually win. But they can do that for peanuts, and they just want it's continuing the never-ending cycle of just we got to crank out content, got to create, and it's not about making a star
I
quality
I will
anymore.
say
It's the brand. It's like
it's not a defense of them, but like if you see what like companies like Bellator were paying people, it was obscene how bad it was.
that's
Like
okay, but
they're paying people like 250 to show. Bad.
I mean, I okay, that's fair and fine. But we were talking about it before the show, like the WNBA just negotiated a contract where their players get as a base salary into the six figures.
Yeah.
And like the base, like the starting salary for a UFC fighter is like what, 12,000?
It
Maybe double that if you win.
depends because it well you get well. So the thing is we actually it's really hard to know what people make because there's like stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So usually what happens, so let's say you're the 12,000 in their contract's probably their show money. And so usually what happens if you get 12,000 for show, if you win you get another 12,000. So you get 24,000. But then they usually get bonused on top of that. And then let's say you knock the fuck out of someone, the fight of like the KO of the night bonus, I don't remember what that is, but I think that's six figures. So like
It doesn't matter.
if
Like
you had
they're
if you had like a really great fight and knocked the fuck out of someone, with all the other stuff, you could probably walk out of a fight with $1 million if all went well for you.
don't know about that for everyone, but
I could look at
they're
them.
still they're like $1 billion company, and it just isn't worth it. And I actually like recently because he's been like rubbing Dana White's nose in it. But Eddie Hearn has been like just doing a lot of media lately, just trashing Dana White and TKO Dana White's efforts to get into to boxing. And he's been like, yeah, like I don't know why these guys fight for UFC. Like by the time that they actually like have to pay all their people and the amount of money that UFC paying them for TKO, Zufa, that it's not worth them even like show. And he's obviously like kind of rubbing it in the faces and everything like that. But he's probably there's some truth to that because the UFC just announced it just came out that like today came out that they're only going to be paying now uh fighter MMA fighter they're going to be paying like the coach like their entire like crew of people that they need for the match, just the coach, which is those people still need to get paid, right? That's going
Yeah.
to come out of the fighter.
That's
So
been true for boxing too.
I know, but I mean still at the same time it's like they're just a $1 billion company that's trying to pay their people as less as like the least amount possible.
No, that's
And there are
true.
people who defend that. It's like, well, of course that's their business. It's like, yeah, but you can still pay them a good amount.
No,
So it kills me also because I remember seeing stuff, 15 years ago where they're having an ESPN discussion, and I can't remember if it was Dana White or Rogan or whatever on the UFC side and this boxing promoter on the other. And what was the whole thing? Was them just telling the boxing promoter, it's like, well, you're just mad because your sport's dying. Yours is the sweet science and ours is thermodynamics. And the guy's getting pissed about it because he's getting, cheap shots taken at him. But
it was getting
now they're
better.
looking to get into it and it cracks me up.
It was getting better under Zuffa for a long time, but it's stalled out under TKO really bad.
It's stalled out to the point where I actually would say, if you're referencing that specific kind of debate, Chad, like I would argue that boxing is in a better place and MMA is not in a better place than
Problem
maybe it was. It
is
did seem like it was like ascendant, but it has stalled or even gone down.
problem is with boxing is you get fucked unless you're at the top. Like you get absolutely fucked. Like I don't remember what it is, but like if you're just starting out, like your pay per round that you fight is like obscenely terrible.
Oh, there was because it was actually a big story. ISIS CO. There was a fight between two female boxers in the last few days, and there were ISIS CO was the one she lost because she got knocked out like first round, and she's like 19 years old. And honestly, it's like you should not have been fighting because she apparently had a knockout loss in like January, and it's like if you got knocked out, you should not be fighting like 2 months later.
If you go to shady
Like,
enough commissions, you can get sanctioned. Or if you go to like
yeah,
a
but
reservation, like there's like no rules.
something happened neurologically because she got knocked out and apparently had like a seizure, and it's like, and then they put her in a medically induced coma, and it was like that was status up until like a day or so ago. They said that she's come out of it and is talking, but they're no longer giving. Then they haven't given. I haven't seen any updates since then. But it's like I've haven't dealt with a lot of people with neurological episodes, but I've read a lot of medical evidence and records about things. So it's like when they say like, well, she's come out of the coma and she's talking. It's like
it's not like TV.
But what does that mean? Because you can be talking and have very bad neurological issues where it's like you're not normal. Don't act like it's
people
normal.
don't understand a coma because they think it's like on TV. Like, no, you're severely brain damaged and you do not come out like the same person. No, but like the thing is, if you were like, well, which would you rather do? Would you rather box or do MMA? I'm like, I would rather do MMA because I might be able to save my brain, at least slightly.
You could hopefully maybe avoid getting headshots.
And I would, and if you were like,
people are going to try to knock you out, but you could, in theory, they could just grab you and put you. You can submit.
And they've done studies, and it's true to a large degree. But like, if you were to box, bare knuckle boxing is actually better for your brain than the gloves.
Because you're not likely to get a hit in the head.
Well, yeah, because you could bust your shit up.
Yeah, you break your hand.
Yeah. So, well, it's funny, just stupid history lesson about boxing. They only introduced gloves because it was a PR move to get more like mainstream acceptance in like the mid 1800s. That's where like the Marquess of Queensberry's rules came from and stuff. It was largely a PR stunt to get kind of ditch.
Oh, very good then.
Yeah.
Would you like the first punch or shall I? Very good. Why don't you go first? Good shot. Good shot. I believe it'd be my turn then.
It's gaining popularity, and I checked it out once, and man, they just get diced to crap. So it's too much to watch for me.
Yeah.
Too bloody. But anyway, so is there anything else? I don't feel like WWE's had much other than TJPW did have like a very successful tour of the United States.
They were just Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, promotion that I know Brad and I watch a lot of. They ran in Texas. Was it Austin, Houston? Like maybe Dallas. Like they were not in San Antonio, but they did. It was only like a 4-night like tour, and it was wildly successful. Like every night,
couple thousand over the shows.
Yeah, to the point where I made the joke, but it's like we should start calling them the number 3 promotion behind WWE and AEW more than TNA, because it's like, well, actually, if you total the 4 nights that they did for the tour, they were like in like the 5,000 tickets sold over 4 nights, which is probably better than a lot of what TNA does outside of maybe.
The thing that people don't get about that either is, and I've talked about before, but they're coming over here, and it's why I would still put them at number 2 over Marigold, despite any drawing statistics.
They absolutely are.
Because the thing with that is that those 5,000 fans they sold tickets to in the United States paid in American dollars. So let's say let's say, so just to give you an idea of how much of a difference it makes. So because I looked this up today just out of curiosity, but so let's say you sold a ringside seat for 6,000 yen in Japan. And then let's say you kind of wanted to keep some parity to a degree. So you sold that same seat for $60 in the United States. So when you go back over, that $60 you sold that ticket for in the United States, when you go back to Japan, is worth 9,500 yen in Japan. So you just made a shitload of extra money from those shows because of the conversion rates.
And those the Tokyo Joshi Pro girls, I think, did run like merch tables. Uh, and maybe I'm sure they do it back in Japan, but it's obviously the novelty. Like, if you're an American fan, like, you don't get to see these girls like ever.
Well, you can't get their merch
So
very easy either.
no, so it's like if I was at that show and if I was in Texas, especially if like they were in San Antonio where my wife's family's from, where we're gonna go for spring break. If it's like if they, I swear to God, if they had like a show there when we were gonna be there like a week, I would have been like, no, I have to go. I gotta go see them.
Well, like I wanted,
And
I
I would have
wanted a
got
Saya,
merch.
I wanted a Saya
Yeah.
shirt like a couple of months ago. There was no way to get one, and I'm not going to order one from Japan because it's not going to fit me, even if it's like sort of the right size, because they don't like. They're not going to consider like a fat American's body with sizes. So like I just
I I've a Kate, not I haven't really ordered from Japan, but I've gotten a couple times. I've gotten like a wrestling shirt that's because someone went there and it's like, well, I can get it for you. Like, if you basically, they're like they're smaller than Americans, obviously. So whatever your size is actually like the bigger size. So I'm like
yeah
a medium. It's like, no, 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 you need to get a large. Like, that's more like a medium there because they're smaller. So
yeah.
Yeah.
uh but they did great. Like, the tour was like wildly successful. And I just saw that they're actually going to be running at least one show in Vegas over Mania weekend.
Yeah, because they
So
they
they're good.
do the collective thing, and I think they were the.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that sells better than them, or at least last year, was Spring Break and Bloodsport.
Mhm.
And I don't know how Bloodsport's going to do this year. It usually does well, but I feel like the last couple have been a little lackluster.
He so people in the last week or two have been giving uh Josh Barnett shit because they've been kind of insinuating like you're trying to latch yourself onto the WWE like train.
Yeah,
And
because
he's been very furious and pushing back at that, but he has like at least two or three WWE stars on this, and it's like, I guarantee you they're gonna fucking go over.
well, and they did on the fall one, like it was like all WWE shit when like they went
Mhm.
hardcore on that ID shit and they all like won. And like I could
Yeah,
see I could see bringing in Dempsey because that's Regal's kid. Like that one I give a pass to. Um but that's not the kind of people they brought in last time. I mean, they brought him in, which makes sense, but there are other people. It's like you really brought them in, like come on.
yeah.
But yeah, so we have a couple of Bryan Danielson matches this week. So do we want to get into the one I have a lot of bitching to do about, or do we want to get into the one I was indifferent about?
Take your pick, man. It's
Let's do the Liger one first because that'll be shorter. I'll save up my ranting. So this I
all
think
right.
was from 2006.
That I think that's right.
So this kind of boils down to Danielson's a heel, Liger's Liger, and Liger wins. He gets a bunch of hope spots after getting beaten up. The end. The match is too long. Why did you have Liger go over your top star? This is why you don't have Mark's booking. Gabe, you suck.
This match. I'm sorry, Matt. You go ahead, please.
I was just no. We started talking at the same time. Like, you could go if you want, but it was like a 20-minute match. I didn't think it was bad. I actually liked it, but uh,
It was like a 12-minute match to me, though. It was like this was a good 12-minute match that had too much
it
fluff in it.
it 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 was clearly one of those matches that it's like you're trying to do it like, oh, this is like this big dream match. Um, Like, I'll qualify that because it's like you have a really like young up and comer guy, so it's like, oh, let's pair him up with, a legend. And at that point, I actually thought this match was 2004, but regardless, it's like by the mid 2000s, like Liger's already a legend.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you have like this legend going up against Bryan Danielson, who's like the big hot thing,
In your top
Yeah.
guy.
and I thought it was good, but like it could have been better.
I
And
think it was hampered by the expectations and like the ROH style at the time of it has to be long, they have to do moves.
Oh God.
Everything
Yeah.
has to be like a prolonged head up their own ass level of pretension that I think hurt it.
well, I will
It
say
has to be long, and they have to do moves is really a good way of putting it, because watching this match frustrated me. Um, the thing that got the thing in this match that got me, aside from Frank, okay, first thing that got me is that Jushin Liger, Jushin Thunder Liger, Japanese legend, had something like 4 hope spots before going into the finish. What I'm saying, I don't mean like comebacks. I mean hope spots. He comes up, it looks like he's going to get something, and gets put back down, over and over and over again, and I'm just like, oh God, because if I have my preference, you do 1 or 2 of them, because if you keep teasing it like that, then you're taking the air out of it more and more. It doesn't feel like you're building anticipation. It feels like you're actively draining some of that anticipation out, because it's going to be like, God, are we going to get to it this time or not? And then, like you said, go long, do moves. The thing that bothered me is that Danielson's offense didn't feel consistent. Early in the match, he attacks Liger's leg and he's doing stuff to Liger's leg. And I'm like, oh, okay. If he does this stuff to Liger's leg, Liger can't do the Liger bomb. He can't do, he couldn't do a shooting star press or anything like that. And nope, just switches over to working the torso. And I'm like, okay, I guess that we're pivoting here, because he had the option and he's going, nope, going to go work the arm now. And I'm like, why are we going through 3 stages of this? Why do we keep shifting it around? And honestly, like you said, it feels like that they're kind of padding it out, because this is supposed to go for, what was it, 25 minutes?
I think it was like 21 maybe. I think the video is like 26 minutes maybe.
Okay. And I'm like,
I didn't like the finish either, truthfully.
oh, yeah, I mean, just Liger bomb win, or was it
Yeah.
Chote win?
Well, the problem is like, so this is the problem I have. It's a common theme across these. Is like, it's one of my few critiques of Danielson is like the cattle mutilation was like your spot, your finisher, and you never fucking win a match with it ever.
Yeah.
Oh no. And you said that, and I actually started paying attention more to the cattle mutilation. And it's like, yeah, it looks kind of cool, but to me, it actually, I break from it because it looks like a move that should really fucking hurt Danielson more, because he's twisting around and he's the one with his neck all like crimped up. And the guy basically, the person it's on is just like bent forward, like with his legs like this, with his arms
back,
like
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I get that, like the pressure on the arms, like the hunching it, like that could hurt. But to me, it visually looks like it looks more comfortable if I'm Danielson, because I'm like the one upside down bridging with my neck like in a weird contorted thing,
Yeah.
or balancing on my thing. Like, it's a cool spot, but also you never win with it, and it looks
Yeah.
like it should hurt you more than it's going to hurt your opponent.
I remember the first ROH show, that one triple threat match that was Danielson, Christopher Danielson, low key. And the thing that I liked that Danielson did in it is whenever he went for it, it was not, we're going down it. He'd hook their arms and like put his head in their back and like push them to the mat with it. I'm like, okay, you know what? I can get behind this. But the thing that I realized from us talking about the cattle mutilation as a spot is, it's frankly, from the internal logic of wrestling, it's a terrible hold. Because what happens? The guy that you're applying it to is stretched out way far. You're stretched out the other way. So one or the other of you is going to be too close to the ropes, and there's not a lot of pressure you've got that keeps the guy from moving his lower body around. Now, is it good to be able to have a submission that you can work and move and that sort of stuff? Sure, but what are we?
Yeah.
You're giving them too much, and like I said, it's established. It's never established that he wins with it. It's established that he likes it. I
The
guess.
announcers try to sell you on that, but then when you like are doing this, you're like, well, he never wins with it.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God, the announcers! Holy crap!
Yeah, well,
One of whom was Punk.
yeah, he was not good.
It
No,
was not good.
here. I tried to set my bias aside while I was watching this. I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm being a shit and
No,
that sort of stuff. So let's
I thought he
hang
sucked
on.
until
I'm actively trying to set it aside. Here's the call that finally broke it. I'm like, God, no, he sucks. Was looks like he's going up for a top rope hurricanrana, and he does it. And I'm like, what the hell is that call? You're like, oh, it looks like he's going for this. He did it.
I had no bias because I didn't know. I was like, these guys suck, and then you're like, oh, one of them CM Punk, and I'm like, oh, like,
Well, and so he spends so much of the match trying to sound smart, saying obvious things. And who's the other guy?
probably Prazak, maybe.
I don't know, but
Prazak
man,
was because the strong match is Prazak and Lenny Leonard, which we'll
Yeah,
get to.
it was definitely Prazak for the strong
is that what?
match.
Man, he was not working for this one.
Because like it wasn't as bad in this one, but in the strong match, one of them was blowing their mic out all the time, and it was killing me.
They're trying way too hard to make everything seem way too important. It's like, dude, you got to build to it. You got to work your way up, and it's like, and this part of it's the detriment of watching it on recording because I can see how long the match is. I'm in the middle of it, and he's flipping out over something, and I'm like, oh God.
I think that's the issue is they did the commentary in post, I bet, and it kind of shows.
Yeah, it's just it is really try hard commentary out of both guys for different reasons, and man, it does not hit.
No, I think that's something that they kind of like. I think that was a growing pain of indie wrestling because I don't think like the announcers would be that bad anymore.
Well, we don't have what's the phrase we're looking for now? Because I didn't know this until the other day. I was listening to something, and you know how Tony Schiavone would always hype everything as like the greatest
Yeah.
thing ever on Nitro? He was doing that to shove Bischoff's instructions up his ass. Because Bischoff, like, you got to sell everything. It's all got to be a big deal. So he's overhyping everything. Nobody knew that, but he's basically using his commentary to go over the top as a middle finger at Bischoff for it. Okay, in hindsight, that makes a lot of sense. But there's no anticipation. There's no building tension. You can't just start your announcing at 100%. You've got to build to it so it helps the crowd get more and more or the viewers get more and more invested.
Yeah. And I think the current crop, like when you watch an indie show now, like you do run across bad announcers, but it's not like a universal thing anymore. And you get people like Dylan Hales. If you see a show with him, it's like you can see his influences from like WCW and stuff. So like he's a much more like I would say grounded and normal announcer. He did the Action Dean show, which I thought had good.
Okay,
announcing.
those were good. Yeah.
Yeah. There was something that I liked about this match a lot, and it's subtle, but because we did obviously the TWA stuff with Bryan Danielson, seeing like his very early in his career, and just seeing at this point, even just a few years later, like his progression, and he's playing a heel here, and as he was in the strong match, and I saw some of that with strong too, but with the strong match. But I like that he would do little things here that were just subtle but really good heel uh tactics that he would do. That again, if you're not experienced watching it like we are, like maybe you don't pick it up. But I would see it and I was like nodding because he would do things like he'd put like he'd be there was a spot what he was cranking Liger's leg, like just cranking it with one of the legs. And if you watch, like he takes his other leg and he like stomps on like the foot and ankle of Liger's other leg to hold it in place.
Yeah.
And like just put pressure on that as he's cranking it. And then there was another spot where he's like, he's got Liger in a move, but he takes like his forearm and just starts grinding it on the bridge of the nose. And it's like that's just like little subtle things that you would see. And I remember like Regal, who has taught Danielson before, but Regal would do that too. Like in WCW, he'd pin a guy, and he put his elbow like forearm on the nose, like
that was a big critique
of.
Like, that was a big critique I had of Bret Hart in the British Bulldog matches. There's those subtle things he could have done to like turn the crowd against him, because like you said, I think a great heel move that more people should do, because no one does it, is like when you're pinning them and you just take your forearm and you just kind of shove their face to the side, and it doesn't like help anything. You're just kind of being an asshole about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just turn their head to the side, lay your forearm across their cheekbone, and then use your hand to make a fist when you do it. And guess what? You're being a dick. And it's not hard. And Matt, you saying that, I mean, it brings up a good point, because it sounds like that I'm beating up on them. Danielson was really, this is just more evidence that he's really good, and he puts a lot of thought into stuff. He's not just working an inside ankle lock. He plants his foot on the other leg in order to take away mobility. Or, he's doing something and he'll plant an elbow on the side and work it. Like, he's really good at that. But what were the instructions he went out there with?
Well, you have to lose, and you have to go long, which I think hurt it. Because here's the thing. This is why marks should not book, because Gabe is a mark. Like, I've seen Liger work other promotions. Liger would have been fine coming in and doing the job. But because Gabe gets a little chubby about Japanese wrestling, he's got to have Liger come over and win. And you just jobbed your biggest star to a guy that did a double shot.
Yeah, and who's not coming back.
Yep. And like for Kobashi or Mizawa, okay, they probably don't want a job. You shouldn't have done it anyway because you probably paid them too much. But like, I kind of get it there. Don't necessarily agree with it. But Liger would have jobbed. But because Gabe Gabe's an eager little beaver, because he gets to jerk off to his Japanese wrestling. Like he made a bad choice.
Liger temperamentally probably would have been like fine jobbing.
He jobs all the time. If you watch indie shows after that, he'll come over and be like, yeah, job.
If I had to guess, like Gabe probably at the time, like, probably brushed it off. Cause like, oh no, Liger's like a legend. Like I can get away with it. Like, and to a certain extent that's true. Cause it's like, if you have a legend in the business come and like beat a guy, it's like, yeah, kind of.
And for Liger, it's still of that like era where he's probably like, no one in Japan's gonna see this, so I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think those are the kind of unforced errors that like you get with Mark's booking, because like you said, he's like, oh, this is a Japanese legend. Is like, yeah, but you jobbed your biggest star to him and he's not coming back. Like you're not. Yeah. It's not like you're bringing him over for like 6 months and he's gonna have a little run with the title, and like that builds him up to it. Maybe like Danielson gets his win back. Like you just jobbed your top guy.
Yeah,
you just jobbed 6 months. What if you did like a month, too? Yeah. Like you could have had him like beat Danielson that let's say 2 months, like because Ring of Honor wasn't running like weekly at that.
They were running let's say, I think they were running like maybe a double shot some months and 2 double shots other months.
Yeah.
They were starting to overextend in this era, I would say.
back in the day, that was like Chikara. Like Chikara would run like twice a month, but it'd be like we're running Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. So they
And
do like
like,
two shows back to
and
back in a weekend.
occasionally they would do like we're doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday for like
Yeah,
King of
like the
Trios.
King of Trios. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's say you're doing like 1 to 2 shows a month. Like, yeah, you could totally have like Liger come in, do like a double shot. The second match of the double shot, like he pins Danielson,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, shit, like we should have him like first in line to be now like the challenge for the belt. And like the next month you have him challenge for the belt. He wins the belt, like he could hold it for like a month. You have the
Yeah.
prestige of like Liger, and then like the third month he loses it back to Danielson or somebody else. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
you could do that. But I know what you're saying. It's like you probably brushed it off. Don't blink. Like, oh, like, yeah, legend. He can do it. He can beat
Yeah.
Danielson. It's like,
Indies can be really bad about that too, because oh hey, we brought in this name. Well, the name doesn't want to put people over. Okay, so what does that do? That just whoever you have that goes up against this name that you bring in gets. I mean, there's not really anything to be gained out of it. You might pop some. You might get some more people in the building. That's nice and all, but in the end, what do you get? It's like, oh, we've got makeup and Rusty Nail here. He's taken on. Oh God.
Is he after Candy Cane?
That's where I pulled the name from. I needed a good heel, but I need a name that might be out there. God.
Are you about a size 14?
Yeah. Who's someone they'd bring in right now? What's
Greg Valentine, I think, was
Okay.
because I do have a story about Greg Valentine in that regard, because he went to a promotion and he was going to go over there like Guy, but he was like, okay, like I know I'm going to beat you, but this is what we're going to do. Like I'm going to put you in the figure four, and you're going to get out of the figure four, and I'm going to beat you with the elbow, because I'm going to beat you, but I'm going to give you
right.
something.
You're going to get something out of this. But what happens if Rusty's working Greg Valentine and he just gets beat, then what does the guy have? What does the guy get out of it? Nothing. He wasn't expected to beat him, and he didn't.
Well, especially if like
Ooh.
Rusty's gonna do that, and Greg's like, "Well, I don't really want to bump," and like, "No, I'm not gonna do like any of your bullshit." Like,
there's a dude. I don't know him. I know of him. He's still working, but it was 15, 20, 10, 15 years ago. They were bringing in Buff Bagwell to work a match with him. Buff Bagwell never left his feet. And I was just like, what did he win with? And he's just like, oh, running clothesline. And I was like, you're telling me they took him, fed him to Bagwell, and Bagwell never bumped once? And he goes, yep. And I go, if I was him, I'd be pissed. He goes, yeah, he is. Yeah, no kidding. Like, what does that gain you? It's like, oh, this was a dream match. It's like,
no,
you have to. Who's coming back next show? Who's going to be there next show?
You might as well.
Me. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you might as well let's say you're bringing the Barbarian in for like a nostalgia thing. It's like, okay, well, who do I want? Like, I don't really want him to beat anyone. Like, well, I'll just pay the money and do like the nostalgia thing. I'll have Jimmy Valiant wrestle him, so then they can do whatever the fuck they want, and it doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah. I was gonna say, Shadley reminds me of something that Sting said, like in the last like couple years, when he was winding down his career. He was talking about how like it's doesn't, to a certain extent, it doesn't matter if you lose. It matters how you lose. You know, because there's ways you can lose that can elevate you. Then there's, if you bring in a legend like Brad's story, it's like you can have like Greg the Hammer come in, and if it's like, no, he's got to go over. He's star. Like, he can win, but he can do it in a way that it's like, well, I'm supposed to beat you. I'm gonna beat you. but let's make you look good in that.
Let's
And
do
you could
something for you out of
you could
this.
book it in a way that it's like the guy gets over even if he loses, because it's like,
Yeah.
and it depends on how gracious they are. Maybe you book it
So
where like the veteran star comes in, and the story of the match. Let's say it's a heel veteran coming in against like not your main face, but like an up and coming face, like a mid card face, or somebody who's clearly down the road, like he's got promise, you're going to elevate him. Like he's going to lose, but you can, as the veteran heel, like I could go in there. Let's say it's me. I could go in there and be like, you know what, you're on like you're up and coming. Like let's have you beat the piss out of me all match, and then I get some spots. I get my spot where like maybe 2-3 minutes, maybe even, depending how long we go, like 2-3 minutes. Like I take control because I cheated,
mhm.
But then you come back and you beat me, you beat me, you beat me, and then I like do something where I cheat to win, you know. And the guy could still he loses, but he can still get over because
Or
he's beat the piss out of me all
or you
match,
could even be like,
and I have
hey,
to cheat to win.
or it's like, hey, I'm gonna win, but here's what we're gonna do. Like, you're gonna kick out of my finisher one time, and I'm gonna have to hit it a second time.
Yeah,
So
and I'm gonna
this
look like
is
real like crazy, like I can't believe he kicked out of my finisher. Like
yeah.
no one
Yeah.
Who
does
is
that.
this guy? One of the
Yeah,
things that um J.R. Rock was always so good at is J.R. would find a way to make sure both people in a match would get over. So there's a story that that JR was there was a new guy who was working in Kentucky named Big Rig Jake Brake, who was a legit 7 foot tall, 400 pound dude. Right. And they're like, well, JR, you're working Jake tonight, and we need Jake to go over. And JR's like, yeah, that's not a problem. And Jake is like, how are we going to do this? Because, I don't want to just go out there and beat you. And he goes, don't worry about it. I got it figured out. And here's what he did. Because basically what they did for the whole match is JR is throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Brake, and Brake doesn't leave his feet. Running clothesline, he goes for the chop block, and Brake goes down to one knee and then comes back up, and running elbow and crossbody, and he's just bouncing off of him. He's trying everything. No, I'm sorry, I had it wrong. They want Jake to look strong, but JR needed to go over. I'm sorry, I had it flipped. How are we going to do this? Because Jake doesn't want to look weak, right?
you
What's
gotta be
JR
Jake.
doing?
Gotta
Yeah,
be Jake.
he's got to look strong. But what's JR do? JR spends the whole match throwing everything he can think of, and nothing works. So at the end of the match, he pulls the Eddie Guerrero, throws the chair in the ring, slams it on the mat, and then drops over while the ref's distracted. JR gets the win, but he looks like a cheating bastard doing it, while Jake looks like a beast because JR threw everything he had at him and couldn't make a dent in him, right? JR was great at that sort of stuff. The
I
hell of it
saw
is,
I saw it was I think it was Mirai and TJPW. They brought Aja Kong in. It's kind of like the same thing you said. Like they kind of had them go back and forth in the 6 man, and Aja was kind of just gobbling her up the whole match. And then finally, I don't remember if Mirai won the tag for them, but like there's this spot like towards the end of the match where Mirai just comes off the ropes and just levels her with this big clothesline, and Aja like bumps huge for her. Like
yeah.
after like eating her up the whole match, and it got like a massive pop.
So yeah. JR's thing was he said we both have to come to the next show they're doing. And if we're both here, then we need to not look like crap. So he was really good at finding ways of doing stuff that benefited both people.
Just bring in
And
Sean Waltman; he'll do whatever.
if you're gonna pick a name. Anyway, this match was everything that was done in it was good, was executed well, but
It was
I
just
didn't love the
structured well.
structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. So speaking of bad structure, because this next match, I'm just gonna say right now, this next match pissed me off
It frustrated me.
because Okay, so this is Bryan Danielson versus Roderick Strong. This match goes for 56 minutes. This is from 2006. It's for the world title. So I'm just gonna talk about this. So like the first 30 minutes of this match is fantastic. Like there's all this attention to detail. Like they're going long obviously, but they're eating time through struggle. Like there's all these little things they do. Like there's this point where he does like Danielson does like the knee to the back and he like tugs on their arm spot. And usually guys just kind of put their knee there and he just drives his knee right into his back. Like there's all these little like holds they're doing and like little jockeying for position things they do. Like the first and I was like deeply invested in like the first 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is great. Like if they just keep this up the whole match, this is great. Like it is slower paced, but you know they're really trying. Like all these holds kind of mean something. You know, there's all these like I said, all these little details. They don't, no one gets anything easy. So I enjoyed it. So would either of you like to comment on the first 30 minutes before we move on?
Yeah, I think Chad has thoughts, but
No,
I
go
thought
for
the
it.
first 30 minutes were good. In keeping with what I said with the first match, it's 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 an even more progression of Brian having developed more as a heel because he does a lot of things in this which are they border into like old school heel stuff, but it's still like awesome. Like he does so many like of the heel tropes, but it's great, and it's clearly it's like you studied the game and you're like bringing this in. But it was things that he would do which I thought were really good because he's playing the heel in this, but he would do stuff where it's something as simple as like they're in like the ropes, like maybe Roderick gets him in like the corner, the turnbuckle, and it's like it's Ring of Honor, right? You got to have a clean break. So have like a clean break, and it's like Roderick starts backing off, and then he'll come up and Brian will come up and just like slap him or like do something underhand like that, like a cheap shot.
Or the
Or
old
there was
the one I like for the not clean break, but you didn't really cheat is when you kind of do the you're gonna break and you just kind of shove them in the chest.
Yeah,
Like on the
I was
break.
early on. There was a really great spot that I noticed because it's like again it's subtle, but Brian's like facing into the turnbuckle, and Roderick's like behind him, like try jockey, but Brian's in the turnbuckle, so it's like Roderick, you got to back off, like rope break, whatever, and Roderick's like still pressing on his back, and if you look, like Brian puts his leg and he hooks his leg over Roderick's, so like he can't really like come back and disengage because Brian has his leg kind of like hooked. So like the ref's trying to get Roderick to back off. He can't move because he's got his leg hooked. And so, but he's like putting his hands up because like I'm trying to rope break ref. I'm trying to, and like Brian just takes his elbow, hauls back, and like hits him. And it's like it's a little subtle thing like that it's like it's just a dick heel move where it's like I got you. I'm actually I'm gonna bend the rules to actually like cheap shot you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was lots of little things like that, and
It's
stalling too. Like there's like Broderick would do a move, and Brian Lee would like drop down, roll out, stall for like a few seconds, like to regroup. Very
he's
like old
doing
school, like take a powder to the outside.
he's doing the Jesse Ventura philosophy of healing, which is win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
Always cheat,
Yeah.
yeah, and just dick things too. Like I talked about, like the elbow version of the nose, whatever like that. But he would do other things like where like let's say he has like Roderick, he's doing a move from behind, and he like would just reach in. There's a couple times he reach in like just
Hook the nostril.
grabbing like him by the nose and like pulling him
And
by the nose.
and you know what I liked about
pressure.
that is Roderick understands the philosophy of like retaliatory face things because Roderick gets him in a hold he doesn't need to, but he's like fuck you, and he grabs his nose and does the same thing.
So
Yeah.
he gets to that point early in the match, though, when Danielson's doing a lot of this cheap shot stuff. Roderick comes off as kind of an idiot until he finally starts doing exactly what you talked about because he keeps doing everything clean. It's like, dude, by him doing this to you, what is happening is the story is giving you tacit permission to be a dick back to him.
Yeah.
Because by doing that, he earns what comes back to him.
Yeah. There's one oh sorry, you were done.
Go. You're on a roll. Go for it.
There was one spot. This what is even like a heel spot. that I just was so actually visibly impressed with. Do you guys see the spot where like they're doing like it's like the strength thing, but Bryan gets down and he's like bridging, put his heads to the
Mm-hmm.
mat, and Roderick's on top, and then Roderick jumps on and straddles him.
Mm-hmm.
Bryan has like the entire weight of Roderick, where he's bridged, in that he lifts up, like lifts his head up and like moves up and
Mm-hmm.
lifts Roderick as he's in the bridge. And I understand like once you get to a certain point, Roderick can shift his weight back to aid, and I'm sure that's what he did.
Yeah.
Look, I've done a lot of like high intensity workout classes and stuff like that. The amount of core strength and general strength you have to do that move that Bryan did, where from like a bridge, he's like not only lifting himself up,
Yeah.
because it's tough enough to be like this and someone's holding your hands to like move up. Like
Yeah.
you see like tons of guys do that test of strength thing where they go all the way down and then they come up. Like
Mhm.
your opponent can help you, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's tough enough. Like you actually have to have a good core strength. The amount of core strength for him to do it, where he's basically doing it by himself, lifting
Yeah.
two men, himself and his opponent up, and to the point where Roderick could shift his weight back to aid in that, is insane.
Yeah. It's
Like
pretty unreal.
Danielson was on a different level in terms of like his physique and his actual like physical athletic ability at that point. But that's
Mm-hmm.
you were gonna say something, Shadow. I just wanted to
It's just
note that spot.
this is another example of how how excellent that these guys can be in the ring. And the problem that I have, I'm sure there's a better term for it, but when I need to find a better way to say it. Basically, the way I see a wrestling match is that a wrestling match needs to take as long as it needs to take and no longer. And there's going to be some times where it takes, like, the story, the Omega Danielson match they had on Dynamite that went to a 30-minute draw needed to take 30 minutes because the point was that they're both so good that they couldn't put each other away in that time. Cool, got it. And then, but the story with when Hangman beat Omega was it didn't take him 30 minutes. It took him, what, 22, something like that. Okay, that's as long as it needed to take. What happens with this match is they're doing real well, and then you hit the half-hour mark.
And then it just goes completely off
It
the rails.
It
just
just
continue.
falls apart. And
Yeah.
it's not like it falls apart all. It's not the Blues Brothers car. They get out of it and all the pieces fall off. A piece falls off at a time because what happens is that your momentum starts falling off, and I don't know, man.
Their work
I'm
started degrading, I think. Like they kind of lost
I'm
the
watching
plot.
this. I'm trying to watch this. Like I'm using my lunch break to watch this match and eat at the same time, and I'm fading watching Danielson and Roderick Strong have a match.
No, it's like I
Like,
legitimately think the first 30 minutes is like a 5-star match, and then it turns like the next 26 minutes is like a 2-star match.
It just keeps going.
Yeah.
And I thought of something that again, it's like it's one of Shad's like hobby horses that he just it's limb work that doesn't add anything. And a match that we reviewed recently when it was Asuka, aka Kana, against Sarah Del Rey, and they were
mhm,
like doing limb work for like a minute and then dropped it. I could excuse that because I'm just like, well, they're trying to like feel each other out, uh,
bless you.
see what works for each other, and it wasn't like they had this limb
Thank
work
you.
for like 5 minutes. They like worked the arm or the leg, whatever, for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's like then they move on to something else because it's like, well, that's not getting the job done, so let's move on to something else. It's like I can kind of excuse that. There was periods where like they both guys like there was like a limb work involved, and it had absolutely zero fucking anything for like the finish or even later on in the next 26
or
minutes.
So I'm going to talk about what really upset me because I thought they were going to go somewhere with it. But so there's a point where they're kind of doing stuff on the outside and Strong goes for a chop and he hits the ring post. So now he's got an injured hand.
He's doing a series where he's like giving big chops to Danielson outside the ring. He does like 4 or 5 of them around like the ring, and it's like, yeah, he's like chopping the hell out of Danielson. Danielson like selling whatever. So he gets Danielson up against the turnbuckle post. You know, a spot we've seen people do like 100 times. He gives one chop to Danielson and it hits. Then he goes for a second one, goes and he hits his hand hard on the post. And I don't know what they did because I don't think he actually injured. They did something to gimmick it, whatever. But you heard like the metallic like taint. I'm like, I actually cringed. I'm like, because it made a sound that it's like, what did they do to gimmick that? I assume it was gimmicked because of what happened shortly after.
He could have. So the video is not great. He could have just like turned and like slapped it like with his
maybe he did.
A lot of chops whenever they come in, they don't hit here. They go here because the point of a chop is, number one, it's not a punch. It's a holdover from when closed fists were illegal. And then, so it's not a punch. And number two, it sounds real. Why? Because you're really slapping the hell out of them, except a lot of them do it as a cross-body chop.
And if you're wrestling, if you're wrestling someone that's being a prick and not wanting to sell, you're going to react if you
can make it happen.
Yeah, you start smacking the shit out of them.
And so I could very easily see it being that Roderick lines up to do it, and his impact is here, but it still rings because it's the flat of your hand hitting it. I'd have to go back and watch it a number of times.
Maybe. I mean, if I were to slap a metal pole, like, I don't know that it's like going to make that sound. It sounded
maybe
to the point where it cringed. I'm like,
right.
So
it looked like it would hurt.
So I'm excited at this point because I'm thinking like, oh, we got like a Barry Windham and Lex Luger thing going on because, you know, Roderick's got all these like backbreakers and stuff, and he just like took like his offense out. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is the rest of the match and this is going to figure into the finish. Didn't matter a goddamn bit. They barely worked with it. There was one mention that he can't chop back. That's kind of all it figured out. Like Danielson's doing like a suicide dive just a couple minutes later. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's got an injured hand. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
He worked it for like a minute after that.
Oh, I don't even think he did a minute.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Like, this is like the whole, like, you could have read, if they would have rode that for the rest of the match, because where it pissed me off is like, they did that. I'm like, okay, you've got your second act. You do like the Barry Windham and Lex Luger thing where Roderick's just giving it to you, but he can't put you away because he's got this injury. Like, okay, let's go. Like, the match has new life. Like, you switch direction. Didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say, if I actually look back at the timestamp, I feel like it was probably at like the 40-minute mark.
It was
so
where...
it's like this went on for like another like 15, 16 minutes, which is 15, 16 minutes is actually...
It was 50. The match is like
a lot of matches get. Period.
Yeah, it was like a 56-minute and some odd seconds match. No, because I looked at it because I was like, okay, they've got about 15 or 16 minutes left. Like, that's actually a perfect place to put this because you've given like, because now you can have a whole new match. Like, there's a whole new match you can have. And like I said, they didn't do. I was so mad. I was furious with this part.
They just dropped it.
Yes, they didn't do anything with it.
Other stuff, like it never happened. And it's like...
And then Roderick's just doing all of his backbreakers like it never happened. I'm like, what the fuck, guys? Like,
worse than that. He did like I think it was a backbreaker or a gut buster. Gut buster, and he landed. And the way he landed on his knees, it was either a backbreaker or a gut buster. I forget which spot it was, but he landed Danielson like on his on Strong's knees, obviously, and the knee, like his Roderick's right knee, he started like selling that for a bit, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well,
you literally had like bashed your hand against a metal pole. So in kayfabe, this you're like, you should have broke your your fucking hand.
Yeah.
And like 4 minutes later, you're not even bothering with that. You're just like, oh, my knee's injured.
And there's so much
Which he also
cognitive,
dropped.
and it's like such a cognitive dissonance because the first 30 minutes have such attention to detail, like on everything, and then they just dropped it. It's like, what the fuck, guys? Like this was like I like I said, I was furious with this.
And it makes me think like it's like you said, it's like it's just Gabe Sapolsky went to them and it's like you need to go almost. We're gonna go Broadway, but not almost Broadway.
Broadway would have been
And they
better.
were like, well, okay. And internally, like Bryan and Roderick were like, let's do a fire 30 minutes, and after that, let's just like do whatever.
I actually think we'll get to it, but I actually think going Broadway would have been superior to how it ended by a lot.
So
It would have been, because then you could like just have a draw. And it's like, well, they couldn't put each other away. That's just selling it for the next match, like the rematch.
Yep. Okay, Shad, floor is clear for you to
Because
rage.
wait.
Shad, can I add one last thing? That actually would have been great, Brad, because they sold in commentary, like throughout the match, they sold like, oh, Roderick has been improving. Like every time he like faces Danielson or everything, he gets a little better every time. So like you could have gone Broadway, like you could have sold it. It's like,
yep.
Bryan couldn't put Roderick away. Roderick came this close. He couldn't do it either. But it's like then you're leading to like, well, the next match, Roderick's going to do it. Maybe.
Yeah, because you could have had him in that whole, I don't remember what that Boston Crab thing he does is, but you could have done that through
stronghold.
The bell. Yeah, you could have had the stronghold through the end, and like the bell starts ringing, Danielson taps, like he's celebrating, like no, you know, time's up.
Yeah.
Even if Danielson didn't tap, the bell starts ringing, and Roderick's got him in it. Like you could just leave it there. Because what happens? You hit the draw and he couldn't do it, but instead
he celebrates.
Danielson wins. So you take that whole story about, Strong keeps getting better and better, and we old yeller that sucker because we're done with it, I guess.
Yeah. So Shad,
and look,
your thoughts on the hand injury going nowhere? Because I know because the second I saw it, like, oh, Shad's gonna hate this so much, like. Because it pissed me off, so I know Shad was raging.
How can I best say this? Why? Why do it? One of the earliest lessons I learned is what you do in the ring is supposed to build to the story, right? And so even early on, as a first 6 months little baby wrestler guy, I was a heel. So I just made it a point to be a dick about everything. It was not just, hey, I kicked you and knocked you down. I'd kick you and knock you down and then like kick my foot like I was kicking dirt on you. Or if we're doing a hold, I would always, if I've got you in the corner, I don't just have you in the corner. I've got like my eyes up around or my fingers up around your eye. Why? Everything I was supposed to add on to that being a dick. And then as your structure was supposed to have a consistent like build to it. And so we're here. And one of my things early on is I would do a lot of leg kicks. Why am I doing leg kicks? Number one, if I was going for the ankle lock, there you go. That builds to it. The other reason I did leg kicks is because when I was using the implant DDT, early on, that was one of my first finishes. My first one was a flatliner. That didn't work, so I quit using it real quick. But if I hook and I go for an implant DDT, then what's happened is if I've worked that leg, it's harder for you to get up. So I could just slide in and grab it and then go into it, right? Why? Why do we do this spot then? Why do we take the time to put this spot where this is something that is supposed to be notable? This is something that's supposed to matter. Why put it in there?
It's supposed to be a game changer in the match.
The only thing I can figure is that it's something that Roderick came up with on the fly and did it, and for whatever reason Danielson just didn't follow up on it. That's the only thing I can figure. But what kills me, and the reason Matt called out my hobby horse earlier, the reason that I get so pissed about that is because if you're doing something in a match and you just abandon it, why did you do all that work in the first place? Like this, yes, this is all a work. Yes, we're telling a story. Yes. Then why did you spend time doing that? If the story is I'm trying to do all this sort of stuff and it's not working, here I am trying to work the leg and that sort of stuff, and the guy gets up, and I've, been trying to work the knee and work the ankle and that sort of stuff, and he gets up and he laughs and like stomps his foot and slaps his leg, then it's like, I didn't do a damn thing. I better change my game plan, right? But why do I start working the leg and then go into working the arm and then go into doing the sleeper hold? Why? If the whole thing I'm building to is I'm looking to eventually choke you out, so I'm trying to work or a neck lock or something, and I use an arm wringer that pulls you into it, that's one thing. By the way, another thing that oh god, this is a little pet peeve of mine. This is not a big deal, but it just pisses me off. There's no such thing as an arm drag and twist. Like, I like Tony Schiavone, but he was a repeat offender for it. There's no such thing. An arm drag's a throw. An arm wringer or a wrist lock, you grab that wrist, you turn it around, and if you step under it and keep turning it, that's an arm wringer. That's not an arm drag and twist.
I think though there are situations where I think like limb work going nowhere can be fine. Like I would say, like, let's say you had a pro wrestling match and you had Shad versus me, let's say. So I'm much shorter and smaller than Shad. So let's say like the match is I'm just trying to get him down and grabbing an arm or grabbing the leg, but it's not going anywhere. But the idea is he's a lot bigger than me, and if I have him on the ground and I'm doing stuff, I'm not losing because I don't want Shad to like the Mayu Suzume match. Like if Suzume was doing a lot of mat work where it's like, well, I don't want to directly engage with you, so I'm going to try and just wear you down with whatever I can do and keep you off your feet. Like, but that is a story in and of itself.
So if the story is, you get me down and you go for the arm and I start getting up and I'm starting to get up and you're like, no, but the arm's not doing it, and you switch to a front face lock. Okay. Or you get me down and you dive on that leg because you don't want me to get up, but I'm still making my way back up, and you switch to working the arm because that's what I'm reaching with. That's one thing. But this is Bryan effing Danielson.
Or I have a look of panic as you're getting up and I'm just flailing around grabbing whatever.
You just kind of grab for whatever you can get a hold of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is Bryan Danielson. This is the guy who knows the technical stuff. Why are we doing this?
And like, especially in a match where they had such attention to the minutia early.
Yeah. Now, am I being a hater here?
It's deservedly hateable, I think.
The point that in my head, your standard wrestling match has a progression, like I said, that goes from here to here. And there's going to be stuff that build into the story. And if the stuff that builds into the story is just that the heel is a dick, and every time he has an opportunity for something, like you go for the break and you just slap the guy in the face on the way out of the break, cool. Because what happens in the end, if the babyface, even if the babyface isn't going to win, you still have to have that cathartic moment of where the babyface pays this dude back.
Or even do
and there's this huge moment where the heel's hubris of just being a dick repeatedly comes back to bite him, and he goes to slap him again, and he goes in for that. He's got his hand, he goes in to slap him again. Even like this is just off the top of my head. You lift his face up and you go to slap him again, and when it comes in, you bite the hand that comes in to slap him, and he's going, oh god, oh god, oh god, and he's flailing around because you've got your teeth, quote unquote, sunk into his hand.
Or you do,
and you just start beating the shit out of him. Even if the heel wins at the end, we get this cathartic payoff, right? The heel's a dick. It came back to bite him. And the finish happens because as long as it's just not... As long as you're doing something with it. Okay, cool.
Or you do the push them back, they kind of bump, and then they do like the Ric Flair beg off or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But,
or, if we take your earlier thing where you've got me on the ground, you're being a dick about it, and you do not want me on my feet, and then something happens, and I've gotten up, and I'm standing there, and Brad's on the mat, and he looks around a little bit, and he turns, and I'm standing hulking over him, and he's just like, "Oh God, no, I'm so sorry." Like, there's payoff to it,
Or
but it's just like I'm doing holds because I do holds.
or like you get
That
up,
annoys me.
or you get up for the cool visual, and I've got you like in a sleeper, and I'm just like on your back, and I'm just like, oh fuck, and you just do like the drop right back on.
Yeah, Matt, you had a look on your face. Something
Or
hit
you know
home for you.
the great one you guys did. I don't remember his name, but where he did the Bugs Bunny thing, where he's like reaching backwards, and he's just
John
feeling,
Noble.
yeah, and he's just like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, Matt, you had a look on your face like something struck you.
No. Like I think that what you said was really hilarious to me. It's like I think you brought up great points. I don't know. I didn't hate this match,
No, I give it.
but I'm with Brad. Like it was really solid, and then it just kind of like
It was
I'll be dramatic and say it fell off a cliff, but
no.
it's still
I
a good match. But it
I
could
would
have been
say
better.
I would say it was a 5-star first 30 minutes, and then I was starting to hate it, but I'm like, okay, the first part was so good. Like this is like still kind of like slightly above a 4 for me. And then the finish, I just took a full star off because the finish just pissed me the fuck
Oh
off.
God.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Then you gotta have like a satisfying like conclusion.
Okay,
It's just like,
let me finish something real quick from what I was saying. I say that matches should generally be like that, unless they're not. Okay, because anything you have, you're going to have exceptions to the rule, and having the occasional subversion goes a long way. I'm not saying it should always be like that, because if it's always like that, that's fine and it works, but if you never do any variations or put any English on it,
People get bored.
you're going to get bored. Now, this finish, taking a hard left here, pisses me all the way the hell off because it makes Roderick look like an idiot again.
So after the hand thing, I think the match just kind of slowly goes downhill because it's a lot of, oh, I did a big move. We're gonna lay around and sell. Oh, big move. Lay around and sell. But then, so the end comes. They're doing a bunch of stuff on the turnbuckle, and at this point, I will give them some credit. They're selling fatigue really well at this point. But so
Yeah.
Roderick Strong gets him, and he hits the top rope gut buster, and he has him dead to rights. And he just fucking stands there and like stares at him like he's gonna do something else. And I'm literally
Yeah.
yelling like, "Cover him, you dumb fuck!"
Yeah. What did I say? He looked like an idiot.
Yeah. And then he covers him like after just staring at him literally, I would say 20 seconds. He stares at him. Probably more like 10 or 12. But it is obnoxious. Like, and it's just like, I'm just like, cover him. Like, you have him. So he does that, and then he goes to put the stronghold on because I guess that's the next thing. And then Danielson just kind of slips out, rolls him up, pin. And I'm just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. If you want to capitalize on Danielson being cagey and Roderick being so fixated on something that he loses, then when he does that gut buster, have them both laying there, and then Roderick gets up to his knees, sees Danielson's down, goes over to pin him, and then Danielson rolls him up because he caught him. If you have to do that finish.
I heard a video game review, and they use this phrase, and I think it fits this match. Like, this ending was so cucked that Roderick Strong wasn't even sitting in the cuck chair. He was in the closet watching his wife get railed.
Mm.
Like, I literally took a whole star off for the ending because I was that mad about it. It was that bad.
Yeah.
It was. I don't want to be hyperbolic about it because it's not true. But literally, it is one of the worst finishes I've ever seen.
It's really, really, really frustrating.
It undoes the whole match, essentially, in my opinion. You don't sit through almost an hour for that.
No. And just because it's long and you did it, this is okay. This criticism that we've got going here is the criticism that people, they think that what they're saying is what AEW does. And what I took from a lot of watching early Ring of Honor stuff is that I see the influence later in modern day stuff, but what they've done is they filed off a whole bunch of these edges where it's like, hey, maybe let's not do this, or maybe it's okay for it to end here, or something like.
Or
Are there still excesses in the modern? 100%, but
I think
it's not as egregious.
Well, because I think they've learned a lot. I think there are the excesses, but they've learned lessons. Like I think they figured out like, hey, when we go an hour, there's the law of diminishing returns.
Right.
Like the crowd starts getting tired. You really have to be careful how you end it. I think like there's a certain level of simplicity that's come in. There's a lot of like, well, storytelling does matter a little more. You need good announcers, like, because that is what I was thinking is like, I don't think this match would happen today. It would not happen in this form.
No.
Because
I don't think so.
I truly think going for a time limit would have been better.
So, just as a comparison, and this is, bear in mind, I have a different philosophical issue with it. But what happened as the Hangman MJF Texas Death Match went on is they kept, after they hit a certain point, they made a significant change in what was happening. And then they made a significant change in what was happening so that you did have the progression as you went, not, it wasn't just, hey, we're hitting each other with stuff. And so, yeah, go ahead.
If you watch like the first Okada Omega, which is an hour time limit, the match is there's two matches. There's the first 30 minutes, which is like a more traditional style match. And then they go to the second 30 minutes, which is just them doing just ridiculous spots and like bombing each other for 30 minutes.
Right.
And so there's two distinct matches. And I think people have learned if you're going to do 60 minutes, like you said, there have to be matches within the 60 minutes. That's why I think Steamboat and Flair, their 2 out of 3 falls match works really well as an hour because there's 3 matches in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure Omega likes anime. It's like, think of it like Dragon Ball Z. It's like now you're into like the second stage, second phase.
Yeah.
Frieza's changed her form, and Goku's
forms.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. You powered up now.
I had to go Super Saiyan.
The thing that I like is whenever you get to that point in the match you were just referencing, Brad, is we're doing this at the beginning, and then it's just like, hell with it, this isn't working, gloves are off, let's go.
Yeah.
And you start slinging what you got. And you keep slinging what you got because that's what you've got. And so you go with it, and if it doesn't work, you go to another thing. And if none of those work, this is what I got. Hell with it. We start over and we try again. Like that, I'm completely down for. Like there's a reason it is that way. But what they're doing there is not, I'm working towards a submission. It's, I'm going to try and knock this guy the hell out with the stuff that I usually knock people out with.
I think Matt might be onto something, like, because there is a sense that like the first 30 minutes are really well planned out, and it's like they had figured out what they wanted to do. And then Gabe's like, we're going to go Broadway, like do like All Japan in the 90s, guys. And they're just like, oh, fuck. Like, now what are we going to do?
Yeah. It's like, well, we can work on each other's limbs, but like it doesn't play into the finish. Because, I don't know, maybe did Gabe like pick finishes? Because he'd been like, well, Roderick's like, you're going to like roll Roderick up. It's going to be great. It's like, maybe not. Like that, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
I'm fine with the limb work in this though, because like I feel like in this match specifically, yeah, it didn't go anywhere, but they were kind of testing each other. Like they were kind of measuring each other and trying to wear each other down for like to get an advantage later. So like I think they took a viable route with the first 30 minutes that fell apart with the limb work later. But like I think the early limb work did like have a purpose.
The phrase I'm looking for here. If you're going to do that early limb work, then don't stop doing it. Make it, keep doing it. Okay, Great Muta changes his gimmick to Keiji Muto, right? And what does he do for a lot of his matches? He starts working the leg a lot. What's the point to? He keeps working the leg, keeps working the leg, keeps working the leg, keeps working. So at the point where someone finally tries to get up and they can't, or it takes so much for them to get up, then all of a sudden they're in position for that shining wizard, right? I'm saying if you're going to be working the leg, keep after it because you created a weak point and stay on it.
Yeah.
If you're not working a body part for it, that's fine. Not everybody works that style, and that's okay. I'm harping on it because that was like very much a Danielson thing. But, if you're going out there and you're hitting the clothesline and you're hitting the crossbody and you're doing the power bomb or whatever, then you're not working a body part, okay? You're trying to wallop the guy enough that he can't kick out when you go to pin him. That's a different thing.
Slightly off topic, but fun fact: this was on this was the main event to the show that had Do Fixer versus Blood Generation on it.
I would have been really pissed with that being the main event of any show I was at.
Yeah, because like especially like ROH shows were long, so like you're talking about you're in like hour 5 trying to like pay attention to this. I don't know. I did not like this. Like I said, the work in it is like solid, but like the finish pissed me off, and like the hand injury going nowhere, I feel like was a blatant annoyance. And I didn't like that I enjoyed the first half so much, and then it just slowly fell apart more and more and more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They should have gone 35 or 40. And they would have been fine.
Yeah.
Or they should have gone the full 60. That's my opinion.
The right finish was right there.
Yeah. I'm glad we watched it. It was interesting because I don't think we've totally gone in on a match, like a singular match like that before. No, we went on Bozilla and Megan Bain pretty hard.
I want to throw one thing in there because, Brad, you used a term earlier that I kind of want to... Everybody folks will say the people that watch wrestling are marks. The thing is, everybody who works in wrestling is also a mark. And here's why. If you're a wrestler, you're enough of a mark for yourself to think that people are going to care that you go out there and do it. If you're a promoter, you're enough of a mark for yourself to think that you can put on a good show for it. I think it would help if we had a different term for what you were looking for with Gabe, but I can't come up with one.
Yeah, and it kind of gets the point across.
Yeah.
Because I think if I said this is why you don't have a fanboy do it, I don't think it has the same.
Yeah. This is something we're gonna have to ponder on.
Yeah, because I think we're, at least my use of it is, I did save it by saying like what he was a mark for that affected his judgment in these instances.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't just saying, oh, he's a mark. I'm like, well, no, this is why being a mark for New Japan or All Japan negatively impacted his booking of his promotion.
It's not always a good... You can be a fan of something, but don't try and... It's like if you play... Okay, I'm going to nerd for a second. If you play a tabletop game and you have a character you really like, you probably don't want to try and recreate that character because it's just not going to work the same. Part of what it makes it work is the circumstances and the interactions that you had here that are not going to port here.
Yeah.
So therefore... You can have influences. Eddie Kingston brings influences all the time, but Eddie Kingston has an Eddie Kingston match.
Like if you listen to him announce, he throws a lot of Gordon Sully-isms in there, but like he does it in a very, it's with his voice though. Like he'll say the supplé and stuff, but it's Eddie Kingston doing it with doing the callback. But a great another example of what we're talking about though is like why Dave Filoni sucks at writing, because he has his waifus of Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. You're like, well, nothing's ever going to happen to them because Dave Filoni's not going to let something bad happen to his toys.
Yeah.
Mm.
He likes his characters too much to do bad things to them.
Yeah.
And if they don't get waltzed across Texas, Daddy, they ain't got nothing to fight for.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the Liger match is unspectacular. I think there's a lot of good stuff in the long match. It upset me a lot.
Yeah.
I felt things and they weren't good.
Yeah. The Liger match is good, but not great. And the Roderick Strong match, it's very good for 30 minutes and then just dies.
I feel like if both of these matches happened in like within the last like decade, they would have been far better, because they could have toned it down a bit, and then the expectation of like, we've got to go at least 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been there. I agree with Shad though. If this is the main event on a show I watched, I would have been like, fuck this.
But it was the best I could say. It's like, well, it's a different time. Like,
yeah, it was.
Like at the time, like we probably would have been like, "This is awesome."
No, I was
great main event.
I was very critical of Strong and Danielson at the time, because I said they're starting to jerk off too much, and I was saying this in 2006 and 2007 that I thought their product was getting too up its own butt. So
I did say earlier today to you guys, I'm like, this at some point it becomes basically masturbatory. It's like it did this. I agree with you actually. This should have been like a 35-40 minute match.
Yeah.
Like at 30, that's pushing it. But it's like, if you want to go like 35, like okay. But it should not have gone 56 minutes.
I think you could have come out from that limb work where I'm just theory crafting. I think you could have done all that 30-minute limb work. You do something where Roderick, like, they just happen to do it. Roderick gets that first big backbreaker, and then Roderick just goes absolutely nuts, and he's just hitting Danielson with all these big moves, and Danielson's either getting in the ropes or just barely kicking out. They're doing it. Maybe he goes for that top rope gut buster, and Danielson like reverses it into like a Hurricane Rana or something, or he does something else. Or even if you want to do the roll up, like do it off of something less lame than the stronghold, but like, you do like 5 to 10 minutes where Strong's just like flurrying on him, and then Danielson like heals his way out of it, and that's the end. Yeah. Like, I think you could have kept the first 30 and then added something like that on.
Yeah. It just went on too long. And
they didn't give you a mental reset, I think, was also part of the problem.
Yes, there was not a shift anywhere that signaled something different. So,
or to give your brain something like I said, the Strong hand injury was the perfect spot for them to like go in a different direction with it.
You could have, you could have had something. You know what? If they had just structured a 20-minute match around that could have been spectacular. You could have had, they're out there, they're wailing on each other. He chops the post. Now the whole thing becomes,
I can't do my backbreakers.
Like slamming it on the mat. He doesn't have the strength in the one arm to be able to do it, so he starts trying to do it with the other arm, and it's not working as well. Like, there's a bunch of ways you could have gone with it, but...
Yeah, I agree. So that is it for this week. So next week, we're going to do... I've got to find them, and it might be a little longer, but we're going to do his Nigel McGuinness matches. I think we'll do 3 of them. So that is the next one. That is well known. It is from the same time period, so we might end up having another bitch fest about those. We shall see how those hold up. I remember liking them a lot at the time, but we shall see.
Okay.
On that. So Thank you, everyone, for joining us as always. We have one more week for Bryan Danielson madness, and I've actually really enjoyed the deep dive into a singular wrestler, and we've kind of filled our catalog with an era we've not done a ton of. So
I appreciate even more now how much better he was, later in his career than he was even at that point.
yeah, I would agree with that. It's interesting to see the progression. But that is it for this week. We have been in 3 corners and you've been in the 4th, and we will catch you next